Teachers, what's the worst thing a kid brought for show and tell? Only been teaching 1 year but so far, mom's only set of car keys. The teacher across the hall from me had a student who brought what he thought was a lucky rabbit foot to show to the class and excitedly announced he had enough for everyone in the class. The rabbit foot was a tampon. In the 3rd grade, a girl brought her mom's kidney stones and a pill bottle. My brother found a scorpion at our house and captured it to bring for show and tell. The scorpion got out somehow and the teacher had everyone on high alert to look for it and capture it. Several children returned to the teacher having found the scorpion. That was the day we found out our school was infested with scorpions. I brought 2 knives. My dad is from a region in France where they make famous knives, La Guiole, and I own 2 of them. One made of horn and one was bright orange. It didn't cross my mind it could be a problem, but they called my parents, who weren't mad at me. My dad tells a story about when he brought his dad's bird hunting shotgun and ammo to school for show and tell. It was rather uneventful. My grandpa walked out to the bus with him and told the bus driver that he was taking it in for show and tell. Dad got to school, put the gun in his locker, and went and got it when it was time for show and tell. He put it back in his locker after the presentation, then took it home on the bus. Very different times. Someone brought their pet bat dead, in a box, that was going to be buried when they got home later that day. I knew a dude who was a teacher of primary school aged kids. They had a sink in their classroom that became clogged. I wonder what could be blocking the drain, he said out loud. Bags of drugs, blurted out one of the kids. Turns out the girl's dad was a dealer who would hide bags of drugs in the drains under the sinks in their house. Not a teacher but one of the kids in my class brought a remote control helicopter to class and flew it around. It was super cool until he accidentally got the blades wrapped around the girl's hair. I think the nurse spent an hour getting it out. In my school some kid brought in his collection of laundry rocks which were crumpled up pieces of paper that he put in his pockets, and when his mom did the laundry they would turn hard like rocks. He said he did it by accident once, liked it, and started deliberately putting crumpled paper in his pockets to make more. My best friend in grade school brought a huge hunting knife one day. He missed a week of school and my parents didn't let me hang out with him anymore after that. He ended up becoming an ump in MLB and always gave out tickets to his buddies. Thanks mom and dad, I like free tickets too. Maybe because I grew up in the south and around folks hunting. But I don't see why your parents wouldn't let you hang out with him anymore for this. A hunting knife doesn't mean he's trouble. It's understandable that bringing the knife to school is bad and they would most likely be expelled here too. But I am surprised the parents would think a young kid non-violently possessing a hunting knife is a bad kid, because he most likely just thinks it's cool and has no ill intentions. It would be a different story if he had actually done something destructive or hurtful with it. Wasn't show and tell, but once during morning break while I was a student teacher, 2 6-year-olds came to find the class teacher in the staff room. They had something to show her. She came back with pictures. These boys had found half a dead and decomposed hedgehog and decided to pick it up and put it on her desk. Needless to say, hands were thoroughly washed and drenched in sanitizer. When I was in 5th grade and going to school in AZ, this girl in our class brought in a glass jar with a tarantula and a black widow. No clue how she caught both in one day or why. Within an hour the tarantula was dead and upside down in the jar. Same day there was a fire drill and yep, someone knocked it off her desk and the jar broke, releasing the black widow. We never found it, but the teacher made sure to stomp the dead tarantula just in case. Same thing happened with our glass fire ant farm in 2nd grade. Now that I think about it, I don't know why people kept bringing this shit to school, or why our teachers let them. My wife is a teacher in a major US city. One of her grade 4 students brought in a packet of his mom's coke to show the class during Drug Awareness Week. He got some visits from the principals and school counselor, maybe the men in blue. I'm not a teacher, but did bring a black widow spider once. I caught it in my backyard. My teacher kindly explained that it was not okay to bring venomous spiders to school, confiscated and released it. I brought a bat that I'd caught inside a glass mason jar. My teacher made me release it, and the little guy made a life for himself in the breezeway between the cafeteria and the main building. Went to school in a tiny town within eastern Colorado. Kid in my class drove his dad's combine to school for show and tell. Was in the 4th grade. Still find it crazy that nobody really cared that there was this big a piece of farm equipment sitting on the front lawn all day. Asked my students to bring an object they loved. One kid brought his grandmother. Not a teacher, but there was a girl in my brother's year whose dad owned a junk salvage place. Girl brings in an old thermometer. Okay, cool. Whatever. She then goes, and then this is the most fun part, and proceeds to smash the thermometer on the desk and play with the mercury. IDK how that got resolved, but I do know that by the time I got to 1st grade, we no longer had show and tell. Not a teacher. But when I was in 3rd grade, this dumb kid in my class decided to bring a live bat to class. The only problem, he put the bat in a plastic bag in his book bag and the bat died because it couldn't breathe. Him removing it from the plastic bag dead, I still remember almost 26 years later. When I was a newborn baby, my sister convinced my mom to bring me to her 3rd grade show and tell, and I barfed all over her. My brother made my mom bring me for show and tell after I was born. He then proceeded to tell the entire class that he helped her dig me up from a cabbage patch. The kids all believed him, and the teacher was supposedly trying her hardest to not break out in hysterical laughter. Yes, I'm a 53 years old cabbage patch kid. Not a teacher, but as an elementary school kid. Not anymore lol. We were supposed to bring toy animals from home and tell why we picked or like that animal. Most kids brought stuffed animals or action figures, but this one madland of a girl brought a real life bearded dragon. She brought it in a plastic bag and just whipped it out and flopped it on the table when it was her turn. The teacher, female and usually very chill, freaked out and called her parents to come get the beast. A few minutes later, her dad, Russian, steps into the room, and you could see in his face that he didn't understand what the problem was with the bearded dragon. The teacher freaked out again and talked to him how it could have gone on a rampage and could have bitten someone, and how it's animal cruelty to transport a live animal in a regular one-time use plastic bag. The dad realized that she was super scared and overreacting, so he just said, "Excuse me madam," with a thick Russian accent, took the bag and walked out. The whole time his face didn't show any emotion at all, as if that type of stuff happens to him all day. The girl was the hero of the day, and she somehow didn't get into any trouble because it actually was her dad's idea. BTW, I'm German, so PLS excuse any spelling mistakes. A lamb's tail. Apparently they went to a farm which let visitors keep them as souvenirs. Who knew that removing tails was a thing? Turns out it was a mistake to postpone show and tell for a couple of days while hidden in a locker. The tail marinated in the July heat. I brought a rattlesnake to school in a mason jar that my father killed directly by our front door. I was 6. Took to show my class. After the teacher let me show everyone and we discussed it, she stuck it in closet so we would all calm back down. Completely forgotten about, and we had a 3-day weekend. We had to have class in the gymnasium for 3 days. When I was in prep, so about 5, I bought in a skeleton my dad used for study. It was a real skeleton. Back in the 60s 70s when he was studying medicine, you could just buy a skeleton. He used it to learn the bones of the human body. Thing is, my dad must have bought it in because it was in a big box and I couldn't have done it myself. Had a kid aged 6-7 who had a lot going on, but part of it was that he was a compulsive liar with absolutely no sense of when a lie was so poorly constructed that everyone would know. Every single day he would say he had something for show and tell. Most days we didn't have time for his show and tell, but every so often we kind of had to let him have a go. He'd stand up, ready to do his show and tell, then wander over to my desk, browse for a minute, pick up the most random crap, a post-it note, a sharpener. Once it was the custom well done stamp that actually had my name on it, and then say some poorly constructed story about how he found it in Africa when he went there 40 yesterday with his auntie or some such. He'd get really upset if he realized nobody believed him, though even at that age, most of the kids had the tact, or gullibility, to just smile and nod. This sounds like he had a really hard home life. There was a fella I got to know after moving to a new city and school who lied like this, except he was in 9th grade. Claimed his dad was in the CIA and dropped him off via helicopter at school every so often. He actually walked to school every day. If you asked him about his home life, he'd always say something like, "It's top secret info, can't talk about it." I eventually found out that his dad went AWOL after he was born and his mom died when he was in 3rd grade. Afterward, he got bounced around foster homes. He was genuinely a nice guy beneath it all, And he was naturally funny without the crazy lies. He never said anything mean about anyone or lied about anyone except his own self. I think he did it to make his home life appear better than what it actually was. Not bad, not normal, but extraordinarily awesome. He moved the next year, I presume to another foster family. I can only hope he found legit happiness.